Hello, welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World, coming to you on a Thursday. I'm of course your host, David On Point Huff, and right there's the CEO of Prime Sports World, Mr. Israel Rivera. Welcome into the show. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And if you do happen to miss us live, we have a streaming service as well. We have basically every platform you can think of. I'm still a little bit under the weather, but I'm getting better every single day. But let's talk about the play-in tournament a little bit more as we talk about the battle for the 8th seed, as we had some really entertaining basketball last night. If you stayed up long enough to watch both those games last night, I know Mr. CEO stayed up and watched both those games and made some nice jelly beans on that.
Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, this is the first time.
The first time a 10
seed
had beaten the 9 seed in the play-in, and it happened twice in the same night.
Lightning struck twice. There you go. You took the words right out of my mouth, Mr. David Huffman.
Obviously, the Chicago Bulls beat the Toronto Raptors 109-105 in a game that most people thought the Bulls were just done, but they outscored the Raptors 37-24 in the fourth quarter, and Zach LaVine was cooking with 39 points and a defensive shift as well, limited Pascal Siakam's effectiveness in the second half. So shout to Billy Donovan, the coaching staff there of the Chicago Bulls. And then Oklahoma City, they beat New Orleans 123-118 in a world-beating game by their two frontmen, SGA and Josh Giddey, as they combined for 58 points in this game. 63 points, sorry.
So yeah, and you know what's
from a triple double for Josh Giddey.
Yeah, and hey David, and you know what's crazy about both of those games last night? Both of those, the Bulls and the Thunder, pretty much changed the whole narrative in the third quarter. Right, the Thunder, the Bulls changed it in the third quarter. Zach LaVine kind of went off in the third, and then in the third, again, the OKC New Orleans Pelicans game, they scored. That team as a whole scored 39 points.
Yeah, they outscored the Pelicans 39-24 and there in that third quarter, as Oklahoma City beat New Orleans and sent them to the lottery.
Here's another one, David. And me and TJ had a discussion about this last night behind closed doors. Do play-in game stats, are they considered playoff stats?
I don't think the NBA has decided, because they definitely don't count as regular season stats. Also, the other thing that Andy actually pointed out, our buddy Andy, like, they don't update the seeding when you advance to the next round, unless that was just a glitch on Bleacher Report. But like, you're like, I don't the play doesn't seem to, it seems to exist in its own bubble.
Yeah. So Josh Giddey. So if that's the case, Josh Giddey is the first ever player to have since Derrick Rose to have a 30-10 game or something like that in terms of assists. Let me pull up that stat. But it was something along the lines that said, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense, because Josh Giddey joined Derrick Rose, the only 20-year-olds in NBA history with a 30-point, 10-assist playoff game. And that's why I said, wait a minute, that was a playing game. Derrick Rose did that against the world champs. So I don't know if those two are comparable, but Josh Giddey was cooking. He had a great game. SGA made some amazing plays last night. I loved it. I really had some big cojones going for both 10 seeds.
But they both can't make it to the 8th spot. Obviously, they're going to have to play against in the play-in tournament. This is the battle for the 8th seed. We got the Miami Heat, the 7th seed hosting the Chicago Bulls. The Jimmy Butler aspect of the, going back and playing his former team. Even though I feel like it's been so long since he's been a Bull, I feel like that's just kind of old news at this point.
Kyle Lowry,
and
DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, those two guys playing against each other. The Heat 44-38, Bulls 40-42. The Bulls actually swept the season series against the Miami Heat. The winner gets the 8th seed. Obviously, loser goes into the draft lottery. How do you see this game shaking out as a win and go home, essentially, for both of these?
This is actually one of the. I mean, the Heat are so small. I mean, they traded for Kevin Love. They didn't even use him in the playing game. They haven't been using him down the stretch either, really. I don't blame him.
Outside of Bam Adebayo, they don't really have size. Like, they don't have. I mean, they got Kevin Love. They got Cody Zeller, who's not who he used to be, even
Nope.
when he was. Kevin Love is a shell of his former self. Bam Adebayo is the only size this team has.
Yeah, and so that's where I think the Bulls have the advantage. Is where they have more size, and obviously they have a guy like Zach LaVine, who I said it yesterday. I mean, once he gets cooking, I mean, there's not many players. I don't care what defense you play on him. There's not many players that can stop Zach LaVine once he gets going. And I just find it hard to believe that the Heat will change as a team defensively. They are not gonna grow in this game, and I just find it hard. I just think this is a bad matchup for the Heat. And I think the Bulls squeak this out. I think Nikola Vucevic has a hell of a game in this game
Hey,
against the Heat.
don't say anything positive about Vucevic. People lose their minds.
Oh, I know. But I think he has a hell of a game. I think he has a hell of a game in this game. I think DeMar DeRozan will be he'll be motivated to play Kyle Lowry. I think. I don't care about the Jimmy Butler aspect. I mean, yeah, a lot of people do, but it seems like it's been eons ago. But I think Jimmy Butler would love to knock the Bulls out the playoffs, right? Wouldn't you think? He'd love to knock the Bulls out the playoffs.
For sure he would.
He would love to knock the Bulls out the playoffs.
Jimmy Butler is a guy who holds grudges forever.
Yes.
He will for sure look forward to knocking the Bulls out of the playoffs if he gets that opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. And so, I think the one guy that Kyle Lowry had a hell of a game. If they get that kind of output where he had, how many points did he have in that game against Atlanta? I think he had 29. Yeah, almost 30.
I thought he had a 30 piece, but I could be wrong.
Did he have a 30 piece? Man, if he gives them that output off the bench,
he had 33 in that game.
33. If Kyle Lowry could give them something like that off the bench, I think I could swing it in the Heat's favor, because the Bulls just don't give me anything off the bench. I mean, Kobe White had a nice little game yesterday. I think Kobe White was what, 4 for 4, something like that. He gave us a nice 3 for 3, 4 for 4 piece yesterday. I mean, that was it though off the bench. I mean, Pat Bev, he's a starter.
That's the conversation. That's the conversation we've been having basically about the Bulls. I mean, the depth is just not there for this team. I mean,
yes. Yeah, so David, I just think the Bull. I think size down low. I think Vucevic, Drummond off the bench.
Kobe White made four field goals, one of them being a 3. He scored 9 points. Patrick Williams now comes off the bench for the Chicago Bulls. He had 10 points on a bench roll. Andre Drummond put in 2 more. That's all the production they got out of their bench. I mean,
that's not enough.
Their big quote unquote 3 are going to have to carry if they're going to beat Miami. And the only way they're going to beat Miami is by outscoring them, because they're for sure not going to be able to defend well enough to limit this Miami offense. So DeRozan, Vucevic, Zach LaVine. I mean, they both have to go for 20 points plus if they're going to beat this team. Even that, I don't know if it'll be enough. How much do you think the factor is this game is in South Beach? Do you think that factors into any kind of advantage for the Heat at all?
No, just because the Bulls just went into Toronto.
Because it sure as shit didn't against the Hawks.
No, it did not. And that's the one thing about the Heat. I think this year they come out that game was a microcosm of their season in a way. They come out very lackadaisical in most games, and then they try to turn it on too late. And that's why they have led the league in the closest games possible. I think they lead the league in games decided by points like 5 or less, or 4 or less. I don't know. You can fact check me on that. But they lose. Their wins and losses are decided by some very close games. Now that didn't play a factor in Atlanta, because I knew that Atlanta size. I mean, Clint Capella killed them on the boards, and I think the second chance points are going to happen again in this game. I think Nikola Vucevic, I think Andre Drummond are going to provide the second chance points that the Bulls need to beat the Heat.
I think especially if they can get Bam Adebayo in foul trouble. Expect Vucevic and the other bigs of the Chicago Bulls, Andre Drummond, who's still a productive player, who can still play a little bit, even though he seems a little bit washed to me. But who are you picking to win this game as a winner take all?
I'm actually gonna take the Bulls again. I'm gonna take the Chicago Bulls again, and not because that's my home team. I just think that size matters. And I think that Vucevic and Drummond are gonna give them. I mean, what I saw from Capella the other day, Okongwu off the bench, who
John
has played.
Collins.
Yeah, John Collins. John Collins is like his switchability. He's gone from a guy that was a 4 or 5 to now he can guard threes on the wing, which is kind of scary. But anyways, that's another debate to talk about. So I just seen what I saw the other night. I think the Bulls will out rebound them, get enough offensive rebounds, second chance points to kill them. One thing I will say this though, you can't let Kyle Lowry get off the bench because you don't have much bench production. And if you couple that with Tyler Hero making threes, then I think it'll be tough sledding for the Bulls. But I think they'll be able to kind of counter that with Zach and DeMar. So
I think the Bulls are just a bad matchup for Miami in general. That's the reason why they swept the season series. I'm actually going to pick the Bulls to win this game too. I don't necessarily think it matters all that much about who wins this game because they're going up against Milwaukee, and it'll probably be a 4 or 5 game series. Let's be real.
I don't even think it's going to be 5 games. It'll be 4 games. It'll be 4 games.
No matter who comes out. On the other side, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves, the 8th seed, hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder, the 10th seed. Their records are there on the screen, 42-40 for Tims. Thunder, 40-42. Timberwolves win the series 3-1 during the regular season as these are divisional foes. Minnesota going to get Rudy Gobert back in this game. Hopefully you will see again an aggressive Karl-Anthony Towns, which we saw through the first half of that game against the Lakers before he started getting a little more passive. They don't. Then the Thunder, they're a scrappy team. They have really good guard play, but I think the bigs is where they're kind of weak, right? I mean, this is a team where I think if Minnesota has an advantage, it's the bigs of their team. They have Rudy Gobert, they have Karl-Anthony Towns, and that Rudy Gobert factor probably changes a lot of the offensive strategy of guys. They're not a great 3-point shooting team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They score a lot of their points by getting into the paint.
Yeah, this is a bad matchup for OKC. I don't like it. I mean, honestly, I was saying this last night. I said, man, if SGA and Josh Giddey are cooking, and somehow, some way, I mean, I've seen the Thunder shoot the lights out the ball some nights. I mean, I've seen them shoot the lights out the ball, and I've seen them not just brick everything. Like that game against Houston early in the season. I know it's Houston, but they were just making everything. J-Dub was making everything. That's Jalen Williams, the Jalen Williams from Santa Clara. That's what they call him, J-Dub. And then you got Jalen Williams, who's virtually the other Jalen Williams is their only center, pretty much. And the other night, I don't know, he was just jacking up threes. I don't know what he was doing there. He was 1 of 6. I'm like, dude, stop shooting threes. So yeah, this is a bad matchup just because you are right. They do get in the paint. Josh Giddey gets in the paint a lot. SGA tries to get in the paint a lot. And with Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns down there, that's gonna be tough for them to do. Couple that with the fact that, I mean, if Anthony Edwards plays like Anthony Edwards in this game, you can call it a night.
He was pretty inefficient in that game against the Lakers. Probably had one of his worst games in the season, efficiently wise.
And also experience matters, right? In this game, I know it kind of mattered a little bit with New Orleans. I mean, the only experience. I mean, you could say, Herb Jones, those guys had some. CJ McCollum had experience. Brandon Ring had some playoff experience.
I mean,
but these guys
only last year. I mean, Brandon has one, and the Timberwolves don't have all that experience either. I mean, they literally have been in the playoffs just one season. I mean, they have.
Well, my thing is about Mike Conley. Mike Conley has a lot of playoff experience, and he's just one guy. Rudy Gobert has a lot of playoff experience.
Kyle Anderson, another guy who's got some.
Kyle Anderson has playoff experience.
Memphis Grizzlies and the San Antonio.
Cat's been to the playoffs. This is his third, pretty much playing. Cat's been to the playoff 3 times already. You can consider this his 3rd time. So some of those guys on Minnesota do have that playoff experience. I mean, Austin Rivers didn't play much in the last game, but he's got playoff experience off the bench, and I know they played him. 20 minutes or so in the season.
Anthony Edwards scored 11 points in that game against the Lakers. Shoot at 25% from the free throw from the field.
He was hobbled.
Under 30 from 3. Shot at 50% from the free throw line. That's just not going to get it done. Like it's just.
I don't know what was going on with his shoulder, but he was hobbled. He was really holding that shoulder. It was very ginger against the Lakers. But I don't expect him to have that type of output again. I think Anthony Edwards playing at home. I think he's going to show up. I think he's going to have, put in 25, 30 points a game. If that happens,
he does not have an injury designation for this game, so
okay, that's good.
He should have full ring of minutes.
That's
but yeah,
good.
I just think Minnesota is just a bad draw for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I think the bigs of the Timberwolves are just too much for the Oklahoma City. I just don't think they have the length and the depth. They've been a very good story this year. Top 5 team in scoring. They've risen above what many people thought they'd be this season. People thought they'd be in the lottery, which they obviously will be if they lose this game. But the fact that their players have basically grown in front of their eyes, like they're supposed to be tanking this season, but nobody told the players. And just a shout out to their head coach and to the front office, Sam Presti, to putting together a group of guys that want this.
I don't want to write their obituary I don't want to write their obituary with you there because you kind of did. You got to write their obituary there a little bit. I'm going to give them a little chance, until the tip-off happens. But, yeah, in hindsight, yes, this team is overachieved in many ways. And I think they have a lot of, if they do lose this game, which I'm predicting that they will, they have a lot of building blocks there. They should be real proud in OKC of what they built there with the young guys. And I think it started a little bit, when you brought SGA over and then you paired him up with Chris Paul, and Chris Paul showed him the ropes a little bit and took that team to the playoffs. Then you draft Josh Giddey, and then last year you draft this past year you draft both Jalen Williams. J-Dub has been great. The other, the Santa Clara Jalen Williams, and then you couple that with the fact that you don't even have Chet Holmgren on your team, who's looked like he's gained, like I've heard reports that he's gained like 15 pounds of muscle. Watch out. And so you get him back, and he's going to be virtually a rookie next year, but you get him back next season, and you get probably another. I mean, the Thunder, I don't know what their scouts. I mean, their scouts need all their scouts across the board need a raise because they do such a great job at drafting players. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they when they took Josh Giddey, that was a controversial pick. But if they were to go redo that draft, he would go higher than where they took him. They took the kid from Santa Clara in the teens. If they were to redo the first round of this year's draft, he would probably be like the second or third pick. He's in the conversation for rookie of the year.
Yeah, no, J-Dub is awesome, and I mean he's a little funky. One thing a lot of these guys, I think in the off season they all need to improve their 3-point shot, but they all can get to the bucket. They all have defensive versatility. Defense is all about heart, right? I mean, it's all about trying to fight over the screen. It's all about heart. It's not about there's no skill to it. It's just heart. Who wants it more, right? So, if once this team kind of gets it, I think this team's going to be scary in the next 3-4 years. But tomorrow night, I think it's going to be Timberwolves night.
I also think another thing that also factors in for Minnesota as like a benefit for this team, like the pressure that they're going to be under to perform well and win this game. Like Oklahoma City continues to be playing with house money. Nobody thought they'd be in this place. Nobody thought, but Minnesota, you made a push your chips all in the middle move earlier this offseason by trading for Rudy Gobert and trading all of the assets you traded to get him. And now you're in danger of missing the playoffs entirely. Like Minnesota can't miss the playoffs. Like that would be a catastrophic bad season. The Oklahoma City Thunder, if they don't make the playoffs, you still have a successful season. The season before, they had 24 wins. You increased your win total by 16 games in one season. That's considerable.
That is definitely considerable, and I only see it going up for the Oklahoma City Thunder after this season. But yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you traded all your assets, you traded a bunch of key guys. I mean, you drafted a guy in Walker Kessler who kind of pretty much does the same thing as Rudy Gobert down in Utah. But that's neither here nor there to talk about, I guess. And he's kind of been up for Rookie of the Year, Rookie of the Year trophy as well. TJ had him actually for Rookie of the Year.
Because if you don't make the playoffs as Minnesota, you basically have to dismantle this roster. Like you can't. I don't think you can come back next season with this same unit. You'd have to basically blow it up, and that would basically be a white flag. So Minnesota's in a tough spot if they lose this game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think, and I don't know. I damn sure Cat ain't going. I know Cat's had some injury problems. I know Rudy was there, kind of riding the ship. But I think if anybody has to go, it's probably got to be Rudy. But that looks stupid on their part.
I just don't think they're ever going to get the value anywhere near the value that they traded away from.
Yeah,
they basically
so
can't.
they're stuck with them.
So we'll see what happens. That's been our analysis of the battle of the 8th seed on the crossover. Let us know in the comments section who you think is going to get these games. We're going to be back here on Saturday and Sunday breaking down the first round of the Eastern and Western Conference playoffs. You don't want to miss that content. You do the baseball show tomorrow?
Doing the baseball show tomorrow. You guys want to keep in tune for that. We'll come tomorrow night with that. Talk about some power rankings, some headlines, some teams. Some award predictions, and some teams that may win the World Series or are championship contenders. So you guys don't want to miss that stuff tomorrow.
Definitely not. So please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. I've been David Huffman. Right there is Mr. Israel Rivera. And Izzy, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
Ladies and gentlemen, I think I feel it. We bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen. Bring the heat, baby.
You need to throw your pen down, man.
I don't have it. I don't bring the camera, but I will. Once I get back in tune, man. Last couple nights I've been remote, but once I get back home, I will start throwing that pen down. I think I threw my pen down so hard one time it popped on a live show. So,
but yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow. Me and TJ will be breaking down some stuff going on in the NBA this weekend. You don't want to miss that content. You guys all have a good night and stay safe out there. And enjoy the weather, man. It's like 80 degrees here in Fort Wayne, brother.
It is beautiful, and Prime Sports World brought the heat back out to the Midwest.
100%.
Lovely.
I'll see you later, bro.